not a fun day. And Tuesday, another blues day. Wednesday's getting better, Thursday doesn't matter, and Friday is the last day. And then it's W-E-E-K-E-N-D, it's weekend. W-E-E-K-E-N-D, it's weekend. W-E-E-K-E-N-D, it's weekend. W-E-E-K-E-N-D, it's weekend.
Welcome back, everybody. Yeah, you saw me dancing if you're watching with your peepholes. Welcome back, everybody. It is the mid-season, season 5, everybody, of the Club with Lucas. Welcome back, children. Gather around. How is everybody? Woo! And I'm not alone in the studio, actually, because Sir Iain Anderson, fresh off, well, a running sold-out show as well at the Comedy Clubhouse, but also at Edinburgh Fringe Festival, is sitting right here to my right, your left, if you're walking with your peepholes. Thank you for being here, man. What's up?
Thank you so much for having me.
And he's good. And thank you for being here, actually, because he saved my arse. He saved me arse is what he did when a friend of mine that was lined up to come in got sick and couldn't fly in. And so thank you so much for being here. We're gonna make this shit happen, everybody. Welcome back so much. I hope everybody has had a great summer and that you're winding in. You can see the bags under my eyes. So, you know, I've had a great summer. We actually had to do a pre-record last night for the show that you just heard before. So shout out to Mitchie Kaplan and my girl, Kelly Ellis, everybody. But you are joining here on the Club with Lucas on 106.9 FM and RCE.cat as well. Don't forget, everybody. Yes, kids, we're going to get to the creative mindset as well today, as talking a little bit about not just how funny this man is. You better make me fucking laugh. But he's also a brilliant survivor and a thriver, and he's got a tale of self-love that I want to get to as well in just a little bit. But of course, we've got some news and clues that you can use as well. Remember, you can follow my ass at the Club with Lucas on IG. I'm really twiddling off of Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, because I can't deal with that. South African.
It's done.
And it's time to go. His time is... We're not going back. We're not going back. And the tunes can be found as well at 106.9 all over this beautiful state of Catalonia and RCE.cat. Remember that. Now, you can also catch us with your peepholes, like I said, at YouTube at RCE 106.9 FM. I'm back. Pitter patter, let's get at her. All right, everybody, you know how I roll, just collecting music either from now or the 70s, because I'm 74 years old. But this little guy, this DJ named Roosevelt, dropped a few tracks throughout the summer, and his album as well, and I really, really love this one. It's called Automatic. This kid is named Roosevelt. He's kind of cute, too. And remember, you can catch everything at 106.9 FM right here at the Club with Lucas. We'll be right back in 3.5 minutes. man. Even this bloody guy Roosevelt seems a little bit on
little
the
bit
flip
gay.
side. All right, man. That was Automatic and Roosevelt. And my boy here just told me that he's also a great remixer, so check out some of that stuff as well. All right, that was Roosevelt, by the way. So much has happened since we were last together, children. So I hope everybody has a little carajillo. Like, this is daddy's coffee, children. This is daddy's coffee. It's mostly Sambuca. But no, let's talk about. Actually, I shouldn't joke about that. Sorry.
No, you joke about what you want.
What would Jesus do? Okay, WWJD, children, because Jesus would say "Hail to the Nah" with Donald Trump. He'd pull a Whitney Houston. Since we were last together, I'm really astonished at what we're looking at in reference to, and I'm going to get to a little bit of headlines at the end of my spiel here, children. So nobody else serves up the news as we do here in English for Catalunya. So. Since we were last together, the current president of the United States was still the current president of the United States and running for a campaign for the 2024 elections here in November. Oh, God, I think I'm going to vomit. And his name was Joe Biden. Grandpa, I'm President Yayo in this show. And I really just admire this man and love him even more. I do not cut for his stance, and I have Jewish blood, and I do not cut for his stance with how things have been handled in the Middle East at all. But I will say that this man has done more in 4 years of legislation than anybody in current history in the history of that country. That said, he gave all of his help and left. He gave all of his help actually to support democracy and left his position about 5.5 weeks ago to this day. And since then, he gave his nod of hat to Miss Kamala Harris, the current vice president of my country. And she has gone out rolling the most impressive campaign rollout. Now, most people were saying within a week or 2 or 3, the honeymoon would be over. The honeymoon has continued, actually, and it finished this past Tuesday. With so many morsels that I need a caffeine shot right now. Because, well, I'm not going to throw you in here because I'm not going to throw you in here, but I'm going to throw you in here right now. Did you watch any of that by chance? Did you see any of the clips of that debate between Donald and Trump?
Yeah, I did, but only because people were taking the piss out of it on Instagram. Yeah, I mean, I found what's really interesting about American politics is it is actually entertainment for the rest of the world, which is also sad.
So does British
But
politics,
Britain's
I'll
not
say.
doing much better, but
Yeah.
I'm just saying I remember a day when politics was like actually a job. And now it feels a bit like reality TV. I feel like
What was he doing before?
I
right?
could be the president based on current standards, like, which is not a good thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't want to say that necessarily. I don't want to equate, and I'm not trying to make any false equivalents either between Joe Biden and Donald Trump. I
Yeah.
just said what one has done for legislation and what I had to inherit, which tends to be the rigmarole, at least in North America, Mexico, U.S., Canada, the big three. Recently, when the right turns it over to the left, it's always, here's some shit, clean it up.
Yeah.
So from that moment, this lady has, from the moment she walked onto the stage on Tuesday, she went straight to him and gave her a hand, gave her whatever,
hand, whatever,
her hand,
They.
and said, Kamala Harris, my name correctly. Let's have a good debate. That man was trying to avoid her. Now, if anyone watched it, you notice that maybe twice, he looked over in her direction. He could not look at her. He was slumped over. Yellowish, a little like a darker shade of Simpsons with white patches over the eyes because he does still do those.
Yeah.
He does a tanning bed, so
But
he
the
wears
goggles,
his goggles,
yeah.
which is why people keep saying, what's wrong? It's the goggles, children. It hasn't changed since the 80s, though. You know, when he was friends with Epstein. Since then, when it was insane to hear what a former commander of the United States was saying. And it was very interesting as well because at one point she said, this, and she was about to say mother effer.
I saw that.
And she caught herself and said, former president thinks that you can release 5,000 of the Taliban's biggest killers and invite the heads of the Taliban state to Camp David, which would be like the people who ran the Ramblas being invited to talk to Pedro Sanchez in Moncloa. It doesn't make sense. But that's what he tried to do. In fact, that's what he did. He did release 5,000 people and didn't do the thing in Camp David because of his associates, but whatever. Back to the master class in presidential debating, because she did lay out the beginnings of a roadmap to how she would be handling and mostly focused on, and let's be real, the middle class. Yes, that includes the upper middle and lower middle class, but also the working class more than anybody, which is really everybody except the thin sliver at the top. But it was also more, for me, it was a lesson on triggering insecure and sociopathic leaning narcissists, because she pulled out all the stops And he fell for that over and over by simply poking at his weak points with mere subtle words. She was able to make fun of his crowd sizes, like much like Obama, but without doing the hand motions. She opened the floodgates that really showed how he is not prepared or fit to be a leader of the world's strongest, I hate to say, but strongest economic power and, whatnot. Now, this was in front of 80 million live viewers. Okay. And I just have to say some of the things that he said. I was going to put a spiel of it through YouTube, but I'm just going to read some of this that he said because he really effed out that night. And it was the most ludicrous thing that I'd ever heard. But one of the things that he said was that Kamala Harris's crowds are not real, and that the 10 to 20,000 plus people are bust in and paid, and or he intimated that they were AI generated. That's one thing. Okay, the other thing that he said is that Democrats or liberals want abortions up until the point of birth, i.e., the baby is born and the doctor comes and sacrifices it like it's a fake satanic thing. Yeah, that's called murder, and that is not acceptable in any democratic leaning state or pretty much anywhere in the world. Hello, okay? Now, but 40% of the country believe this is true, though, and this is a country with 340 million people, so do the math, bitch. And he also claimed that Democrats were performing transgender operations on immigrants against their will. He said this live and then leaned into it by stating that Haitian immigrants who have been now legal status, protected as residents in the United States because of the drama that's going on in their country, which has never been promulgated by anything France and the U.S. has never done. Look it up, children. They have legal status there, and these children come out reading a fake post by known liars off of Facebook. Yeah, I remember that from 15 years ago. Facebook, and said on live international television that Haitian immigrants were eating the dogs. They're eating the dogs and cats of Haitian immigrants. Now, if anybody doesn't know what the people of Haiti look like, they don't necessarily look like light-skinned Latinos or white folk. And this is all propaganda trope that is being promulgated again by someone that's just tagging along with him, a 9/11 truther named Laura Loomer, who's flying around with him. She's, one of those alt celebrities for the right, and she's flying around with him on his Trump plane. She is a 9/11 truther who actually went to the 9/11 memorial with him on the 23rd anniversary this week. If the irony doesn't fall for you there, well, there you go. But she was also making fun of Kamala Harris, saying that the White House is going to smell like curry if she wins, and that you're going to have to go through a system of phone calls of people you can't understand, like a operating system that's out of India to get to her. It's just ridiculousness.
That's mean too.
And it goes beyond the pale, so that people who are extreme right-wingers like Marjorie effing Taylor Greene is actually in a world of a war of words with this woman. And of course, Laura Loomer has all of the underground celebrity stuff, like she's freaking Jaguar Wright of the right, and or Wendy Williams. For those of you who don't know who Jaguar Wright is, look it up. Look up good. Jaguar Wright, y'all. And she has all the inside scoop of Marjorie Taylor Greene and all her dalliances and messing around. There's a reason why she and her husband divorced last year. So she spilled that. And then Senator Lindsey Graham of South Carolina comes out and says that he doesn't like what Loomer is doing as well. And if anyone's watching on YouTube, we seem to have a slight glitch at the moment, but follow with us. And Laura Loomer comes out and truly outs him out of the closet. Now, all of us who study this and are history tutors like myself and historians, and reporters, we pretty much know that the gentleman is probably not heterosexual. Well, she came out and said it. Trump has alluded to it many a time, just saying. Anyway, that's what's up for debate between the United States president, who's running on the Democratic ticket for democracy, or the Republican bag of trash that you have there. At the same time that I'm mentioning this is just going out on Al Gore's interwebs, but Thailand has just become one of the third, if not the third country in Asia to legalize same-sex marriage. And that stops there. Okay? So as of within the hour, they are now expected to become, they're expected to become the third jurisdiction in Asia to completely legalize same-sex marriage, but the flurry of progress will stop there. Whatever that means is yet to be determined. But that's good news, right? All right, let's get to a little bit of news, a little bit of music, because we've got some beautiful stuff to get to with Mr. Iain Anderson, and thank you so much for being here, sir.
Thank you.
I hope it didn't depress you.
No,
All right,
no, I
hallelujah.
mean, not any bad than the actual news in the morning.
Welcome, children. Have another swig of whatever your poison is, and this is the Marias and Run Your Mouth right here on 106.9 FM and the Club with Lucas, and we'll be right back in 3 minutes with Mr. Iain Anderson.
When we talk about everything that happened, we'd rather sit around. I don't need a lesson, you just call me out. Call me when I'm distant, always run your mouth. I don't wanna listen, you're on my case. Won't you stop with that look on your face? And I can't believe that you only hold me when I'm on my knees. Got me so tied up when you push my luck, but you wanted this to last for life. Got me so fed up when you talk too much, when your focus is all out of line. When we talk about everything that happened, rather sit around. Don't need another lesson, you just call me up. Call me when I'm distant, always run your mouth. I don't wanna listen. When we talk about everything that happened, rather sit around. Don't need another lesson, you just call me up. Call me when I'm distant, always run your mouth. I don't wanna. Everything that happened, all the shit you put me through, and now you're talking about me too. And I know that I could never get away from you. Yeah, I'll wait for you to turn around and talk it through, but we won't. When we talk about everything that happened, rather sit around. Don't need another lesson, you just call me up. Call me when I'm distant, always run your mouth. I don't wanna listen. All the shit you put me through, and now you're talking about me too. And I know that I could never get away from you. And I'll wait for you to turn around and talk it through, but we won't.
Let's get out of this music and history funk and over into my boy here. Man, thank you so much for being here again.
Thank you.
Excuse me for throwing off my soap. I was on a
That's all right.
soapbox.
I
I'm
love
a history
soapboxes.
nerd,
It's
man.
okay.
I can't help it. WWBD. What would Bowie do?
What would
He would go on a soapbox.
He
you know?
would.
He would.
Yeah.
But you know what? The soapbox is Iain Anderson, because Iain Anderson is now a playwright. He's a one-man performing act, Children of the Corn. And he just actually had a sold-out run at the Comedy Clubhouse. Thank you, a show at the Comedy Clubhouse. And a lovely time at Edinburgh Fringe Festival. And I wanted to ask you, because as a Scottish man who's actually here,
Yes.
and you've been here for a hot minute, 13 years now.
Yes.
What was it like to be back home and telling your truth?
Well, I mean, I'm not from Edinburgh. I'm from the West Coast, so I don't
in
belong.
Scotland,
I don't
yes.
belong in Edinburgh. But yeah, no, it was lovely to be back home. I think, you know, the show's about the fact that I'm 7 years clean and sober, and what I went through to get there. And the thing is that, like, I had a really bad relationship with Scotland because I kind of blamed it. I didn't leave, I ran, you know, when I left home. And so it was really nice to go back and to create new memories there and to kind of reclaim, you know, I think I've been doing a lot of that over the last few years, reclaiming it as something new and beautiful and wonderful. And I had the most amazing time, but also I really miss Scottish people. Were really funny. Like the average Scottish person is funnier than any comedian. like just in general. Like they're so funny. And my boyfriend came for the last week I was there, and he thought I knew everyone. It's just the way people speak in shops. You go to Tesco, it takes about 20 minutes to get out because Big Margaret wants to ask you about your life.
Yeah.
And I really missed that. So yeah, it was wonderful. And I spent some time with my family there, my Aunt Agnes and Uncle Charlie. I think they're listening in Scotland, by the way. Hey up.
Shout out.
Yeah, and so I gained a little bit of weight because I was overfed. I mean, I was just like sugar detoxing when I came home. It was amazing. I had the most amazing time, yeah. And it was cold.
Yes, it
It was
was.
13 degrees.
Well, okay.
I was wearing a scarf, Lucas.
I love that because at the same time, I feel like our summer here was not as intense as last summer.
Yeah, well, I
Last summer, it
wouldn't.
was 48 one day in Girona last summer.
That's crazy.
Okay. And so this summer was lovely, but wait a minute. Let's get back to some of the nitty gritty.
Yes.
When you were back on, human turf because of Scotland, did you feel accepted? Because remember that passage from the Bible, like a man is never accepted in his hometown and all that shit. Did you feel
Well, I think.
the reception?
Yeah, I did. I think there was, I mean, I started performing comedy here in Barcelona. So I've only ever performed to international crowds, and it definitely changed. First of all, my accent got really strong. And there's things you don't need to explain socially, because I think we're quite a working class country. Like, we're like the underdogs. We're not England. No offense, England. But we're not England. And so there's things culturally you don't need to explain. Like there's a socially acceptable amount of alcoholism in the north. And we just call it our culture, right? So there's a drinking culture there. There's a...
You said it.
I
did
said
not.
it. The Scots and the Irish and the Welsh are known drinkers. Yeah, and the Australians. There's certain
man.
places.
It's scary, to be honest.
Yeah,
with you.
but it's
Okay.
cold and there's nothing to do. So I feel like there was a lot of, I saw that again, but like from a new perspective, and it was really nice to it was just really nice to be there. That is, but
yeah,
to
man.
perform that show there, felt really special. And to be at the Edinburgh Fringe was kind of a bit unbelievable because it is like that's where you want to go as a performer.
Am I correct in stating that it is the original festival of its kind?
It's the biggest arts festival in the world.
Yeah, but wasn't it not the first?
Yeah.
As well.
So the Fringe, actually, the word Fringe comes from the fact that was a outlier festival. So the main film and theatre festival, and this was on the fringes of theatre. So that's why I'm not a trained performer, right? I'm not. So it's like that. If you have a dream and you work hard, and there are lots of places to get free venues, and you just can just go to Edinburgh, cost yourself a lot of money, but you can make or break your show.
Exactly.
And so for me, that was just when I started doing comedy, I felt kind of called to go home with this show, which was not written when I applied for my venue. I actually wrote the show in May.
Love it.
2 months after I got my venue given to me.
But then you were actually forced to make yourself do this.
I had the
make it
idea.
happen.
I had the idea, and I talked about it. I'm a manifester, so I just kept telling everyone. I had the title for years, and I was like, "This is happening. I'm going to do a show called Traumedy." And then a friend of mine, Michelle Ahern, was taking a show to the Edinburgh Fringe quite early as well. She started comedy not long before me. And I was like, okay, me too. And that was it. And we went together, and it was so special. The Barcelona comedy scene is like, is like something else. It's the support from people who, I'm very new to this scene, was absolutely incredible. Yeah.
That's lovely to hear.
Yeah.
And we're going to give another shout out to Lady Nicole Collars and Lady
Yes.
Tesla Nix. We love you, Mamacita.
Yeah.
And I'll be sending in the shout out for you forever. Now, sir, can we talk a little bit about your story?
Of course.
We don't want to give any spoilers because this is actually going to be popping.
Well, the clue's in the title, isn't it? Homeless and addict. So let's not
It is.
bury
It's
the
in
lead.
subtitle there. Yeah, and the headline there. And it's called Traumedy. So we're
Traumedy,
dealing with
yeah.
something that you've done with, but oh Lord, your story. All right. So what brought you here in the first place? Because you said just a little bit ago that kind of you blamed Scotland. You kind of ran away from
Yeah.
Scotland. There was already trauma going on there then.
Yeah. I tried to have a lot of perspective around it in the sense that, you have to own your own story or your story will own you.
Oh my God! Can you say that one more time?
You have
please?
to own your own story or your story will own you. And I really believe that. I think that, we spoke on the phone the other day and you were asking about my relationship with my parents, but then what's their relationship with their, when do you stop the blame, right? And I think that one of the things I've been able to do over the last few years is it absolutely doesn't matter why I ended up addicted to substances, why these things happened. What are you going to do about it now? It's my job to sort it out. And I think what I've noticed in comedy is there's two types of people. There's people who are still working through their stuff. This show could only be done because I'm through it and I'm thriving and and I don't. And this is maybe a bit controversial, there seems to be an appetite for professional victims at the moment where people, that is their career. I'd like to clarify, I'm not a victim. And the only reason why I share this story is because I want people to see there is life at the other end of suicide attempts, homelessness, drug addiction, psychiatric hold. I shouldn't be here. I was meant to be dead and I'm not. And so with this extra life I've been given, and it feels like I've had this luxury of like a sliding doors moment. I want to do something valuable with it. And I tell this story because I don't have to. And I think that when you're in a position where you don't have to talk about it, then you can truly be of service and tell it because you want to. And if I was on stage crying my eyes out, still kind of in it, I don't think it would pack the same punch. I think with this show, people come out thinking about themselves. And that's why I knew the show worked. Because if you were thinking about that poor guy, I wouldn't do the show. It's not about me, it's about you. I hope you get to see it.
Me too.
Yeah.
I will in November.
Yeah.
But when we're talking about that, you said that there are people, this professional victim thing is something that's too strong. And you
It's a
see
thing.
it's on politics. It's really a man thing. We're seeing it more and more in the male sector of life. And I'm wondering, was that part of the Pobre de mi that kept you wanting to just, kept you going further into the addiction, the homelessness in the end? And then I want to talk about later, maybe after a song or two, how you pulled out.
Well, I think that there's a period of my life called outsourcing my wellness. Wouldn't it be wonderful if people could run our lives for us? Wouldn't it be that? Like, I hate being a grown-up. Do you ever have days where you're like, I just want someone else to do it, right? And I remember
I don't.
I had like, being an adult is hard
Yeah, it
and
is.
life is tough. And I think especially nowadays, and I'm I've only recently joined social media in the last year when I started doing comedy. And when I'm on there, I do see a lot of sickness. I see a lot of people that want to outsource their wellness. They want other people to do things for them. But also we live in a place of shortcuts. There is absolutely no shortcut to life. And I think you get to experience the good. One of the privileges of living sober is I've been through incredible grief and pain and horrible things very consciously, and I feel everything. And that's such a luxury, that I never had before. I felt nothing and I blamed everyone. And there comes a point where, can I swear?
Fuck yeah.
All right. They say if you meet one arsehole in a day, you're unfortunate. If you meet two arseholes in a day, you're the arsehole. And I found out when I hit rock bottom that I was the arsehole. And I think that, talking about homelessness, and shout out to Esperanza and the Arels Foundation in Barcelona, who do so much work. 60 to 70% of homeless people in Barcelona are foreigners. And I was the perfect storm. Foreign, drug addicted. The only friends I had were people from the gay party scene. It's different. These were not my friends. And sheer pride got me to the bottom of the barrel. And when we think about it, there's always an opportunity to ask for help. But are you too embarrassed? Are you worried what people will think? Or are you going to keep trying on your own? And really the message of the show is, my final line of the show, which isn't a spoiler, is love other people like their life depends on it, because mine's has and yours will. And we need to move more into community and connectedness and away from this life of individualism where everything's your fault. Work harder, make more money, buy more things, when actually what you need to do is pick up the phone and connect to people in a real way. Vulnerability is talking to people one-on-one. It's not posting about it to your 40,000 followers. That's not being vulnerable, that's attention seeking, and it's different.
Okay, and you know what? I just started my education stuff again this week, and one of the things I made my university students do in this homework is watch the quick TED Talk of Brene Brown's Vulnerability.
Yeah. She's amazing.
And she's from Texas.
Yeah, we love her.
And the insanity that it was forced because one of my male students said, I don't like to be vulnerable. And I said, you just said a mouthful. We have to talk about that in the entire directions. And you just said that. And I want to make it even more specific if we could to, shit, I got to put a song on. Hold on, kids.
Hold that
to the
thought.
community. To the community. I want to talk about when we come back from this, the gay community.
Yeah.
Because you just said a little mouthful as well. But we'll be right back. Kids, we've got 2-minute ditty for you by a band called Barry Can't Swim. Because you know he fucking can't, okay? And this is a track. It's a 2-minute ditty. Literally, it's a little ditty about Jack and Diane. It's called How It Feels. Barry Can't Swim. And then swim your ass back over here because we have great questions with Mr. Iain Anderson. We'll be right back on 106.9 FM.
I bet you never tell them how it feels. I bet you never tell them how it feels. How it feels. I bet you never tell them how it feels. I'm confounded with the truth. Found it. Found it. You won't go fooling me twice now, baby. I'm sorry, that's the way it is. You won't go fooling me twice now, baby. I'm sorry. I bet you never tell me how it feels. I'm confounded with the truth. I bet you never tell me how it feels. I'm confounded with the truth. I bet you never tell me how it feels. I'm confounded with the truth.
And that was Barry Can't Swim, and we just had another little ditty
Yeah.
about Jack and Diane, of course. Now, let's talk. We were just talking about focusing it into the community because you said that I had my friends in the gay community that I would do drugs with, but they were not my friends. And I'm one of those weird guys who, and I've lived all over the world. I've lived all over them. I'm just kidding, please. But and I've never had a core group of gay friends. All my boys are straight. Most of my homegirls are, well, straight, whatever you want to, our people. We're accepting. We're all open-minded. But I've never had a core group of gay friends, ever. And part of it that I've found here in Barcelona was this kind of issue with the chemsex and this, just everyone wants to out RuPaul everybody, and you are not Andre motherfucking Charles. And never will be. And so when you said that, it hit me because
Yeah.
I think a lot of our brothers and more our brothers than our sisters really, I found anyway, really go into that threat of addiction.
Yeah.
And when you were at the bottom, you said, and you actually said, pride kept me at the bottom. And I thought, in a way, you just said something because pride is what we use as our moniker.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if I was in, dichotomously interpret things, but could it be that way as well? And what kind of words of wisdom might you impart to our community about this kind of situation? Because it is rampant.
Thanks. That's a great question. I really struggle with the idea of gay community, to be honest with you. I came up in the gay scene in Glasgow. So it was different then. We didn't have smartphones or Grindr. You used to meet outside the club and go to someone's house and dance to Kylie Minogue all night. I did get you know, like I did have good connections there and people that, even though if I went back to Glasgow, they would know me, but also women were welcome in those spaces. I find that in Barcelona, it's very male centric. I'm 7 years clean and I think I've been to a gay club twice in those 7 years. It's not my thing now. My very best friend who I grew up with, he happens to be gay, but his name's Fabio. He's actually not really called Fabio. He's called Stephen. Hi. And he lives in Texas now. Yes. No. Yeah, he does. He moved to Texas. And
Austin?
Yeah, near Austin, yeah. And so he moved out there last year. His father's from there. And we grew up together, and it just so happened we were both gay. And he's like my brother, and he's like my best friend, and our sexuality doesn't play a part in it, right? I think that the dangerous thing is this whole idea we were talking about being a professional victim. We have to realize that being gay isn't a disability. And I think the biggest disservice a lot of people in the gay community do is to themselves. So in sober spaces, for example, there are LGBT specific ones, which I think is great, right? Which I think is great if you don't feel safe. However, I've never been to them, right? Because it was very important for me to realize addiction is a human thing, not a gay disease. And I think that sometimes when we put the label gay on it, we also cut ourselves off from help. How many times have we said, oh, we have to, be in an open relationship because we're gay, that's what we do. Or, of course, I go out every night of the week, it's because I'm gay. Of course, I sleep around, it's because I'm gay. Well, these are the stories I told myself in my 20s, and I ended up homeless. So, like, this whole idea of, like, falsifying your happiness, and also, not all gay people want to go out and party. You know, Hannah Gatsby talks about it in her one-woman show, Nanette. She's like, hi, shout out to Hannah Gatsby.
Yeah,
it was one of the inspirations for my show is, where is the gay man that wants to sit and be boring? And the thing is, I'm in a different phase of my life now where, you know, I'm with a guy now who I met in the spring. Hi, Leo, that's my boyfriend. He's my age. He's from the Philippines. We have a very simple life. He goes to bed early, he gets up early, he's a nurse. And we like sitting on the bench, having a coffee and watching my dog play with pigeons in Plaza Catalunya. 10 years ago, that would have made my whole body curl because I would have thought I was a bad example of gayness. You don't need to be out in the club or going to the gay sauna or having sex with multiple people to be gay, because being gay isn't all you are, right?
It is. You know what? Can we make that into a macro thing?
Yeah.
Everything you just said can be applied just to generality in life.
Yeah.
I think that most people live a falsification of I'm happy. And I'm talking about 90% of marriages right now. So if you're listening to me, bitches, let's be real.
Yeah.
But
did you not find when you came out, it was like, what like subsection of gayness are you as well? So it's like
I was 17 when I came out to my family and my siblings really. And then eventually, and it was more like I'm bi.
Okay.
And then eventually, okay, no, you know, now I put, and I was bi. And like Carrie Bradshaw says, it was just a layover on the road to Gayville.
Yeah.
But it was a beautiful layover, actually, because I prefer women in my, I'm a very feminine and divine feminine.
All my friends are
but
women.
very macho guy in a masculine sense. But I also want to say, I want to give some credence to people who have been victimized.
Yeah.
But I would also want to say, just because you've been victimized doesn't make you necessarily a consistent victim.
No.
You want to be a victor, a victoress, and the victorious. And I think that needs to be, because I don't want to necessarily say that people, you know, we get into a victim mode, but some people have been victimized and they have not been given the tools. And most parents are shite, so they don't give their parents the tools. So people like me have to teach your fucking kids who never move out of the house until they're 33 in this country. So, you know, we want to speed the plow. And I think so much of what you're saying can really be applied on a very macro level to almost anybody because of the falsification. And then I think too many parents perhaps feed it with that invisible umbilical cord where they keep the kids mimados.
But then, you know, that might be an extension of the fact that they felt like they were let go too soon. So every generation has their thing. And I think it's really important.
Amen. Well said. Okay.
I think it's really important to move away from this idea that I think if we don't deal with what we're meant to deal with, we will transfer it to the people we love.
Straight the fuck up.
I had to absolutely make sense of the fact that I haven't spoken to my own parents in over 20 years. And that's not their that there's things on both sides. I'm sure they'd have very choice words for me, right? But the thing about it is, I really believe they tried the best they could. And that there's no way my mum and dad got up every morning and says, well, I hope we turn him into a homeless addict. Like, that wasn't their MO. They really tried. They could. They did what they could with what they had. And the reason why I know that's true is because in my worst days, I completely fucked people over. I stole, I cheated, I lied. You know, I did all kinds of things. I was in active addiction.
And your
But
parents
that
didn't
was
do that.
me trying the best I could. I know that was true of me. So if that was the best I can do, I think they tried the best. So forgiveness, blanket forgiveness is key.
Amen.
Because
Okay.
once you realize that you have a problem, it is absolutely your job to get help.
And just because that's,
Yeah.
especially with family, I love what you said,
Yeah.
because just because it's a blanket forgiveness and hopefully true blanket forgiveness, like you've washed away the
Yeah.
issue, that doesn't mean that you have to then, okay, now we're buddy forever. And now
Not
we're
at
going to,
A friend of mine is very into this. She does advocacy. My friend Becca, who's blown up at the moment. There was recently a piece about her in the New Yorker, and her life's work has been about detaching from your family of origin and why, you know, this blood is thicker than water. I come from a very working class town where the
water is
loyalty is everything. And I just don't believe that's true. I think that at the end of the day, you are going to outlive your parents most likely, and you can't live your life for other people. And my grandmother taught me that you need to live your life for yourself. You're never going to make everyone happy, and that includes your own parents. And sometimes to love yourself means to let go of others, you know.
because being selfish is not the same as being egocentric.
Selfish and self-care have a very thin line.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
think people forget that because of, especially sometimes with translations here.
Mm-hmm.
But about that blood being thicker than water is really just where that water is.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, I'm gonna tell you.
Yeah.
Guys, we got another 3 minute, 2.5 minute ditty for you. This is actually, because I just love both of these artists, and so does my brother here. This is Kate Trinata and Pink Pantheress with
Yeah.
Snap My Finger. And we'll be right back with a little outro and some information coming up about the Barcelona Fringe Festival in November. We'll be right back.
I left my room and I know I left too soon. It's so that I wait for you. I check my wrist, think my watch is telling lies on me. I got here at 6. You won't explain why you weren't calling me lately. I'll wait outside all night because you want me to. You're getting pissed. I'll figure it out, 'cause I know maybe one day you'll feel the same. Whoa. Where'd you go? I'm going home. I'll figure it out. Maybe one day you'll feel the same. Whoa. Where'd you go? I'm going home. I'll figure it out. Maybe one day you'll feel the same. I wish that I could snap my finger. La 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 la. Wish that I could. Wish that I could. La la la. Wish that I could snap my finger. La 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 la. Wish that I could. Wish that I could. I left my room and I know I left too soon. It's so that I wait for you. La 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 la. I'm getting sick. It's the feeling I got when I saw the train that I missed. La 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 la. I got the next one 'cause you chose not to save me by driving me instead, like I had asked you to. You're getting pissed. I'm hanging around 'cause I know maybe one day you'll feel the same. No. Where'd you go? I'm going home. I'll figure it out. Maybe one day you'll feel the same. No. Where'd you go? I'm going home. I'll figure it out. Maybe
was Kitchenada and Pink Pantherist, and we are here with my boy Iain Anderson. Thank you again
Hey.
so much for being here, man.
Thank you.
Listen, there's something beautiful coming up. It's opening up like a beautiful okay. And it is happening in November. And Sir Iain Anderson.
Yeah.
You know what? We got to get united, man. It just rings to it. Sir Iain Anderson is going to actually be there.
I
Does it
am.
not have a ring to it?
It does, yeah.
Oh,
I've been told I have a strong name. Yeah, yeah.
He does. And so the fringe that is coming from, that has been birthed from Edinburgh is spreading like herpes of the Kardashians over to here. And it's going to be here in Barcelona in November. And my boy's part of that. And thank you. Talk us a little bit about it.
Yeah, so this is actually going to be the very first Fringe Festival here in Barcelona, and it's been headed up by the Comedy Clubhouse. So I started performing there a year ago. Shout out to the Comedy Clubhouse. And it's an amazing, the first, comedy club, I think, in Barcelona. They used to just do it in bars and stuff before.
Shout out, Mr. Levin.
Yeah, it's amazing. And so they had this idea to do the Barcelona Fringe. And so to clarify, the original Fringe was in Edinburgh. It's its own thing. This is being headed up by the Barcelona comedy community. So there's some of the partners are here are Roast Battle Barcelona, Comedy Clubhouse, Metamorphosis, Big Ventures, Imperfecto, Basement Comedy, Pop-Up, Secret Comedy Club, Atomic Comedy, and Imperfecto. There's a ton of them here, and they're all joined together to have a 10-day festival here. It's going to be comedy. Our friend Nicole's doing her show at BCN Studios, which is going to be amazing. I'm going to be doing my own show. Plus, I'm going to be involved in a couple of other shows. The last couple of weeks, I've been invited to do things. But the idea of it is to make art accessible, right? There's two sides to art. There's no art without artists. Edinburgh's very expensive. No shade, but you lose a lot of money going to Edinburgh to do your show.
Okay.
People go bankrupt just trying to get their show there. I was very blessed. I stayed with friends. I had no accommodation costs. I did good. And I was a little bit sponsored, so I was okay. We didn't starve. Lots of people have lost thousands of euros just trying to get their show there. And it's the first time it's going to happen here, and we need an audience. So from the 1st to the 10th of November, there's going to be shows all over the city. I'll have the link in my Instagram and also in the Comedy Clubhouse Instagram, Barcelona Fringe. And it's going to be amazing. And I hope it's the start of something massive, because these festivals, give people the idea that maybe they want to do it. I'm from a working class town. I started in music when I was a kid because I saw a teacher play the piano. And then I didn't even know I was going to become a comedian until I became a comedian. And maybe you'll come to a show and find out you want to be a comedian as well. Like, I never had any, like with my own show, Traumedy, I had no intentions of making this a show when I started in comedy last year. I never mentioned I was sober as part of my comedy, and I certainly didn't mention I was homeless because I didn't want that to be a gimmick.
And stereotyped.
Like Iain the homeless comedian. And then when I realized I could tell this from a place of helpfulness and that I was going to make it into something which I think is really brilliant. I love doing the show. But also that I'd already proved myself as a comedian. I had a successful split-hour show with my friend Ollie. I was already doing comedy in the Clubhouse Secret Comedy Club, and I was already doing well as a comedian within my first year, that I could do this show and it wouldn't be all I was. And that's the thing, like the comedy community here in Barcelona, even in the year I've been in it, has really grown and is so welcoming. And what I would say is if you feel like trying comedy, I actually run a night called Shitty Mike every Monday with my friend Matty from 9 until 10:30. If you're not an experienced comedian, come down anyway, sign up. You have 3 minutes and get on stage and give it a try. Like, what's the worst that's going to happen? You have a bad 3 minutes. Was that not losing your virginity anyway? It's a terrible 3 minutes. But come on down, get on stage and give it a go. And I think that we need now more than ever to be creative. I think that I'm of an age where that was kind of discouraged at school, and I'm now rediscovering that kind of part of me.
Are you kidding?
Yeah, it was.
Discouraged?
Yeah, it was kind of like, get a real job. I mean, I even now with this show, I'll tell you a story. Like, I came back from Edinburgh and I had a bit of a come down, and I wasn't sure what I was going to do with the show, and I was about to say, oh, screw it. And that same week I heard from you, I heard from the Weekly Mag on TV. I did a TV interview the other day and my show sold out. And that's the thing, like you have to we have to have a creative outlet as
And
people.
you keep manifesting
And you
that
keep
shit.
manifesting it, yeah.
Oh, my
Yeah.
brother. You
Thank
are
you.
thebomb.com. Thank you so much for being
Thanks
here,
for-
man. Listen, folks, you already know. We're going to be, in fact, I'm going to hook up with these boys. So we're going to have some of the people who created the Fringe here throughout October because we want to promote, and get this word out. That's going to be happening from the 1st to the 10th. And you can follow Iain Anderson Comedy at Instagram as well. Thank you, Sir Iain, for being
Thank
here,
you.
man. And remember, folks, nobody's going to love you the way you're going to love you. Start loving yourself, okay? And remember, there's COVID everywhere, so keep your distance. I'm kidding. Now, please love yourself. Remember, we'll see you same bad time and channel next week. And I'm going to leave you with a little bit of some of my favorite people from Scotland. This is Liz Fraser, the Cockatoo Twins, and you know who you are at every mother effing age, okay? We love you. Keep it real. I'm proud of the people. We'll see you on the flip side. Bye.
Thanks so much.
Cry, 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 so you know why.